Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with another episode of Total Breakdown. A magnificent 2v2 battle as Dracoknight and Braccus Rex lead Argolon and the Warriors of Chaos against the Dark Elves and Skaven led by Unicorne, Frappe, and Rico. We begin, as always, with a conversation about composition and deployment, and though the Dark Elves are trying some clever things, we're going to start with a Yellow Alliance. You can see Argolon is being led by a Glade Lord atop a Forest Dragon alongside a Spellslinger of Life atop an Eagle, able to provide magical support with some decent mobility. Archaon the Everchosen is in charge of the Warriors of Chaos atop Dorgar, and the main army itself consists of these two units of Forsaken up front on either end, with these two units of Chaos Warriors in between them. Right behind them, we have this alternating line of Eternal Guards with shields, and the Treekin providing a defensive bulk right in front of the 4 units of Glade Guard with Starfire shafts. Then, we have this unit of Chaos Warriors with halberds, and the 2 units of Chaos Spawn, so if anything large comes crashing through or chasing after the archers, we have a little bit of anti-large support, as well as a little bit of fear from the Chaos Spawn. Then, we've got these 2 units of Wild Riders and the Chaos Knights with lances looking for flanking opportunities of their own, of course, or of course to deflect any enemy cavalry that gets a little too adventurous, alongside the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, anti-large and armor-piercing, able to chase after those enemy large units, or of course, crash through the front line into enemy infantry as well. The Chaos War Hounds with Poison, meanwhile, are going to be looking for opportunities to chase after any enemy range support that they can shut down. Now, let's take a look at the Skaven and Dark Elves. Queek Headtaker is in charge of the Skaven right in the middle here, and he is supported by a Warlock Engineer as well as a Plague Priest atop a Plague Furnace. Malekith atop Seraphon leads the Dark Elves alongside a Death Hag atop her Cauldron. The front line consists of 4 units of Skaven Slaves, and right behind them 4 units of Skaven Slave Slingers. Then we've got 5 units of Plague Monks doing a lot of damage to infantry, alongside this Doom Wheel anti-infantry and armor-piercing, able to come in with flanking and rear charges. All the way at the back, we do have this Warp Lightning Cannon able to fire away right from the start, and the Dark Elves bring some Witch Elves to provide some support in the form of the Madness of Cain, and of course when Murderous Mastery kicks in, they'll do a lot of hurt. And all the way at the front here, we do have 4 units of Shades with dual weapons able to fire away right from the start, and also survive in melee if push comes to shove. Then all the way to the side here, we do have a Canine Assassin, maybe looking to push forward, find an opportunity to open fire at enemy leadership, but my favorite part of deployment from the Dark Elves is all the way off in the corner here. You can see 2 units of Dark Riders with repeater crossbows looking for an opportunity to creep up and fire away at the rear lines of the Wood Elves and the Warriors of Chaos. So, with all that said and done, let's see how it all breaks down. Right away, of course, the Shades are going to open fire, and in response, the Glade Guard as well opening shots. Of course, they get the first couple of shots off, focusing in on the Shades, trying to cause a decent bit of hurt into enemy range, and that's always a good idea. I've said it countless times. You want to finish off enemy range support so you can reduce any morale damage they can cause, and you'll see the Shades respond, open fire as well, and I think that first shot might have been stray and uncontrolled, but very quickly they start focusing in on the Forsaken, and look how quickly the Forsaken start to fall apart. They're losing their health immediately, dropping to half health within a volley and a half perhaps. Within 2 volleys, they're basically giving up already, and you can see the Warriors of Chaos are responding right away. These War Hounds are pushing in. We've got these Wild Riders pushing in as well from the Wood Elves, and a little too late, the Shades decide to retreat, but again, just a little bit too late now. Already a lot of work being done by the Glade Guard, and you'll see the Chaos War Hounds are very close. The Wild Riders as well, just shutting them down, very close to pushing in, and at the same time, we have the Warp Lightning Cannon firing away at the Glade Guard here. Again, just trying to provide some support to the entire engagement, get rid of any enemy range support as early as possible. You'll see, though, these Shades are falling apart very quickly. In come those rear charges from the Wild Riders, and immediately their will to fight drops, and so too does their health. The Chaos War Hounds as well doing a wonderful job just chasing down these Shades that have already been hurt tremendously by the Glade Guard. And at the same time, you'll see back here, completely unnoticed, in come the Dark Riders with their repeater crossbows looking for an opportunity to cause a decent bit of damage to the enemy Wood Elf range support, and you'll see they start firing away and they barely get noticed. Meanwhile, up front here, Malekith up in the air as the range support comes in from the Wood Elves, starts getting fired upon in just a moment's time, and he's going to eat a lot of damage, but you'll see he is up there for a purpose. He wants to get some magic off. In here, we have the Doom Wheel pushing in, trying to bait a clump. Blade Wind does come in from Malekith, but at the same time, he is hit by the Prey of Anathrema, so that's not a good time for him at all, of course, reducing his missile resistance. He's stuck in one spot as all of these Glade Guard are able to just fire away and cause a decent bit of damage there. Meanwhile, though, you'll see Blade Wind is doing next to nothing against these Chaos Warriors with halberds, unfortunately, as it veers away into empty space, but in comes Plague from the Plague Priest, and that's doing a lot of work. You'll see some of these Skaven slaves do get scared off. They get pretty badly hurt and terrified, but they're just slaves, so it's not the end of the world. Meanwhile, the Chaos Warriors with halberds and the regular Chaos Warriors as well are taking a great deal of damage from Plague. It is a wonderful spell. It does a lot of armor-piercing damage, so great call there. The Doom Wheel just baiting everything into that little circle, and then in comes Plague, causing a lot of hurt. And at the same time, you can see we have the Chaos Knights over here curling around, trying to shut down the enemy Warp Lightning Cannon, but taking a lot of hurt in response. And over here as well, we do have Archaon, the Ever-Chosen, diving into some of these Skaven slaves as these Chaos spawn as well, pushing in to try and prevent these Plague Monks from getting too much work done. Now, all the way to the left, you'll see we do have Malekith diving into the Forest Dragon. Again, a dangerous call here, a very dangerous call, committing to this engagement when the Glade Guard are so nearby. And you'll see we do have the remnants of a Chill Wind going down there, but not the best Chill Wind. Should have been targeting in this angle over here, but instead went this way, just did a minor amount of damage, and in turn taking a lot more damage. But you'll see we also have the Doom Rocket coming in from the Warlock Engineer, and that does a lot of work. And all the while, we have these Dark Riders with their repeater crossbows firing away. So these guys have given up. They do not wish to stick around and fight. They want to get out of there ASAP. So you'll see there go the routes. Very well done. Beautiful maneuvering with those Dark Riders, I have to say. Meanwhile, over here, you'll see we have the Glade Lord hit by the Word of Pain, reducing her capabilities in melee, preventing her strength in defeating Malekith, because you'll see Malekith is in a very tight spot, taking a lot of damage. He's at about half health now, trying to get Power of Darkness active so he can use some more magic before he does fall, but all that range support is doing a lot to take him down. Unfortunately, very bad reaction here. Shouldn't have stayed in this engagement, should have pulled away. And at the same time as that is happening, you'll see all the way over here, Archaon gets involved with a little bit of magic of his own. In comes the Burning Head, this fiery little skull, pushing in right through these shades, hoping to take care of that range support once again. And of course, there are some Skaven Slave Slingers here as well, some Plague Monks, a lot of very high value units being targeted. And in goes the fire, and you'll see it does a decent amount of damage, and as it does so, we also have Murderous Prowess kicking in, but unfortunately, there isn't enough from the Dark Elves around to actually take advantage of that. We've got these shades here, but they're not engaged in melee in any way. We have the Death Hag using the Potion of Foolhardiness to stay confident in fighting. We've got these Witch Elves being afflicted by the Fury of Cain, but there isn't enough. Most of these units have actually pulled back, they've routed, they've retreated, they're not really engaged in any way. So very unfortunate that the Dark Elves have lost most of their army's will to fight before they actually get Murderous Prowess. Meanwhile, up front here, the Glade Lord is being hit by Regrowth, an upgraded Regrowth, helping with the physical resistance as well as replenishment of hit points. So great call there, and now Malekith is being triple teamed, triple threat going on, Spellslinger of Life, Glade Lord, and all of that range support. So great job there, just taking care of Dark Elf leadership, trying to close it down as early as possible. And meanwhile, all the way on the right over here, you'll see we actually have a little bit of an engagement between leadership here as well. Archaon, the Ever-Chosen, has been struck by Trophy Heads, reducing his melee defense and melee attack. Meanwhile, Queek Headtaker is in there with Dwarf Gouger and Stand Your Ground. Again, just hoping to take care of leadership, drop Archaon, and just make sure that Warriors of Chaos don't feel like fighting just as much. But all the way back here as well, you'll notice as these Dark Riders continue to fire away as this lone unit of Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts, these guys have finally rallied, and now I think the Wood Elves realize what's been going on back here, and they start returning fire a little bit, but up front, Malekith has almost dropped, and you'll see just as he's about to fall, he tries one last desperate attempt, pops a Blade Wind, but again, just utterly useless, this Blade Wind, as it veers off into nothingness. Malekith does fall, and finally, we are able to respond to these Dark Riders with the repeater crossbows. You'll see the Spellslinger of Life as well as the Glade Lord pushing down here, hoping to take care of these guys. A decent bit of work done by the Glade Guard already, but it's a really urgent situation. So good move here, pulling down as quickly as possible. And you'll see the Glade Lord does use the Prey of Anathema to hold these Dark Riders in place as that range fire comes in, and so too does the Spellslinger of Life. So wonderfully done there, but the Death Hag as well, pushing in for a response of her own, terrifying these Glade Guard off, and then veering off to the side to try and shut these guys down as well. So decent use of the Death Hag, but a very dangerous situation for her to be in. Meanwhile, all the way over here, you'll see the Chaos Knights have been able to push into the Warp Lightning Cannon to take care of that artillery support. The Warp Lightning Cannon has done a decent bit of damage, but it would certainly like to have done more. Meanwhile, the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, after having chased off the Doom Wheel, though it is still alive, it's been chased off, you'll see it turns around and is now chasing after the Plague Monk atop the Plague Furnace. Plague Furnace makes it large. The armor-piercing and anti-large of the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth alongside these two Eternal Guard with their shields will do a lot of work to the Plague Priest, and you can see he is falling apart, while over here we have the Chaos War Hounds with poison pushing in, chasing after these shades. Again, just looking for an opportunity to shut down any enemy units that are open and free to be taken down. We also have these Chaos Knights coming in alongside Archaon, the Ever-Chosen. These shades will be very quickly taken care of. They're not having a good time. Meanwhile, all the way back here, you'll see the Death Hag is also in a very precarious situation with the Glade Lord diving in atop the Forest Dragon and all of that range support coming in as well. The Wild Riders now pushing in as well just to take care, again, of enemy leadership, of enemy support structures, and just drop the Death Hag because she has put herself in a very dangerous spot. Meanwhile, in the center here, you'll see the Plague Priest is very close to falling apart. The Dragon Ogre Shaggoth continues to give chase, and there goes the Plague Priest, so wonderfully done. No more magic now for the Skaven player, and over here as well, the Dark Riders with their repeater crossbows have returned to the fray and now opening fire into the backs of these Chaos Warriors. So again, just looking for opportunities where they can provide some assistance. We're all the way off in the distance here. The Death Hag does fall, so great work shutting down that Death Hag. Down she goes, and now the Dark Riders are turning around, looking for an opportunity, looking for something to get involved in, but unfortunately they're just severely outnumbered. They are fully surrounded. You can see these Wild Riders over here and over here crushing in towards them, piling in towards them, but in comes some range fire, and these Dark Riders do not wish to stick around and fight. They both decide to rout. Meanwhile, over here, the Doom Wheel once again pushing in, looking for some infantry to crash into, maybe chasing after some of these Eternal Guard with their shields, but the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth ever confidently chasing after the Doom Wheel. In comes some range support as well. In comes these Shriekin trying to hold it in place. The Wild Riders are pushing through as well, but they very quickly do get terrified as the Doom Wheel slaughters one of them, I think. But they get terrified and turn around, but the Glade Lord is right there. We've got the Spellsinger of Life nearby as well. We've got all of these archers opening fire, and very quickly the Doom Wheel does shatter, does not want to stick around, and now we have a full shatter across the field and a Pyrrhic victory for Argolon and the Warriors of Chaos. A battle with plenty going on at any given moment. 2v2 battles can be quite chaotic. Despite a very clever move from the Dark Elves, the forces of the Dark Elves and Skaven were simply not equipped to deal with what the enemy might bring. Without any dedicated anti-large units, the overwhelming number of cavalry, monstrous infantry, and monsters on the other side of the field would be nearly impossible to take down. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content, and keep sending in those battle replays with the link in the description down below. I do think it's one of the best ways to learn, and it's always nice to see great battles and tactics highlighted from the community. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.